I'm back again, baby. And in this video, we're going to be following up on last week's analysis where we were looking at one, a possible timing for a low, and then two, of course, the actual price for a low for Bitcoin. And that is the focus of today. So let's get into it. Haha, we're back, baby. I'm a little bit late today. Apologies for that because I was actually stuck behind two obese people getting their sugar fills and whatnot for the early morning hours, 10 a.m. here in Helsinki, Finland. And it took like 10 minutes for them to order. So apologies for that. And let's get into some actual things that actually matter for today. I need to get my notes back up right over here. I see a lot of familiar faces in this stream as well. So good morning to everyone out there. That's awesome to see. Holy moly, baby. And good morning to everyone out there, or good evening if you are in the western part of this world. Anyways, like I said, today's video, I really want to be following up on last week's analysis. If you were here on last Sunday, 1 week ago from today, duh, then what we were focusing on was the likely timing for a low. The big message of that particular video was this: the Bitcoin low is extremely unlikely to happen before Friday. Now, Friday has obviously passed, and now we're sort of in the timing area that we would be expecting for the next major low for Bitcoin between, of course, the Friday that just passed and this coming Friday right here. So this is going to be a very, very important video to be getting into the nitty and gritty of this one. Of course, we're preparing for the Krown School opening as well, which we'll get into a little bit later in this video. But of course, there is a link in the description below that you can use to sign up for that course, which goes over my sort of philosophy on price action and essentially is going to set you up with the tools to create your own strategy and run your own templates, which is at least in my opinion, very exciting. Anyway, so first things first, I want to follow up on last week's analysis. In this case, a big focus was the quad witching date. The quad witching is when you have four major expirations. You have stock options expirations, you have futures expirations, you have single stock futures expirations, and then stock index futures expirations, which is very important because when you have all of these major expirations happening on a singular date, which only happens 4 times in the year, by the way, you typically get major money managers, positioning for that time, and they start to change around. And you actually notice that a lot of reversals happen on those dates. So what I've done here is I've gone through the full history of Bitcoin and marked off all of the prior June quad witching dates. I need to turn off my damn Discord over here. Motherfuckers, stop it. We are in some very important live streaming right now. We can't be having messages for some bullshit. But as you can see right here, 14 prior quad witching days for Bitcoin. Out of those 14, 11 of them have been major pivots on price action. When I say major pivot, I mean that price action found a major low or major high to work from. So for example, whoops, I just removed one right there. But for example, what I'm talking about is most recently seen actually back here in June of 2022. And you can see that Bitcoin did come down significantly on that date, but reversed on that date as well before a pretty sizable move to the upside here. Nearly a 50% move to the upside there over the course of almost 2 months. And we see this happening, very frequently, I would say, for Bitcoin. Again, another summer low over here in June of 2021. In fact, I kind of think that is somewhat reminiscent of what we're looking at right now. We see another major high right here. Again, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be a low or a high, just that it is a pivot. Major low, major high, major high, major low. And so, and so on and so forth. So that was the big focus, or one of the big focuses of why we were waiting until at minimum Friday of this past week to potentially even be considering a low. Now that Friday has passed, it's time to really be focusing on when we might see this low, like this week, what day, and also what price would this likely be coming in at, assuming that all kind of holds through. So what I'll do for that is I'll go to another chart that we referenced last week. We won't get into this nonsense just yet, but what we will get into is, of course, is actually right here. Whoops, I'm on the wrong chart. My apologies for that. Is it this one right here? Do I have it right here? Where is it? Where have you gone? Uh-oh, it is right here. Okay, beautiful. We were looking at minimum for retracement down to the 50% level at 64,300 or so, which Bitcoin did close actually specifically at on CME on Friday. And then potentially, if Bitcoin does take another leg lower, somewhere around the 618 here, which is about 62,500. Keep in mind that there is a premium over spot price action when you're looking at CME versus spot price action, but it's probably not more than a few $100. So the real question is, which one of these two major levels is going to be that next major likely bounce? And so obviously we've already hit the 50% level. So if we are going to see this area be the low, here's what we would expect starting tomorrow very specifically. We would expect that Bitcoin bounces and closes to the upside tomorrow, preferably if we are going to see like a legitimate bounce anywhere above about $65,000. Why do I bring up that particular number? Whoops, I'm on the wrong chart again. A couple reasons right here. One, Monday, if we look at all of the weekday statistics, especially since 2024 began, we can see that Monday is the most likely day for Bitcoin to close positively from open to closure, at 68% of all Mondays closing positively, with one of the highest average returns. In fact, actually the highest average return for those positive closing days at just over 366%. On the times that it did close negatively, by the way, the average loss was 1.79%. But again, that gives us a pretty damn good range of likely price action coming into Monday. So what I'm going to do here on Sunday is assume that price action closes somewhere where we're currently at right now, like somewhere around $64,000, give or take, a little bit from that number. It's not going to change all that much. Sunday, very, very likely to see any sort of major price action. As you can see right here, it is one of the least volatile days for Bitcoin. Actually, only more volatile than Saturday, actually. But again, making that assumption, which is kind of a big assumption, but fair enough, 366 to the upside would actually put Bitcoin significantly further up, somewhere around $66,500. And of course, to the downside, 179 would put Bitcoin basically back down around last week's low. So if we do see the upside happen on Monday, which technically speaking is statistically more likely, we would expect Bitcoin at minimum above $65,000 and preferably really back above Thursday's high. And at that point, you can very likely have your confirmation of next major low within this region. If that does not happen on Monday, I would still say that there is potential for slight amount of risk lower, at least a slight amount, depending upon your own risk tolerance, but likely we'd probably see somewhere down around the 618 fib here, which is about $62,500. Now, I will say it is starting to align a little bit more like that Monday probably does provide the impetus for some sort of a short-term relief bounce. Why do I say that? Because if we go into here and we actually reference the daily stochastic oscillator, which is just, it's just a momentum oscillator at the end of the day, we can see that daily stochastic momentum is about to turn back on to the upside for the first time in this region, or anywhere near this region, since basically April/May, very, very late April to early May, back in this region over here, where Bitcoin, by the way, was preparing for a pretty sizable bounce off of those May lows going from about $57,000 all the way up to, 70,000 plus. So in this case right here, we are going to see this one turn up, assuming that Bitcoin does close today or tomorrow above 64,300. If we see that, again, another damn good indication that Bitcoin's very likely going to bounce here in the short term. And this sort of 50% retracement level that we just outlined, whoops, I'm just drawing damn shit right there, that we outlined right here is going to be the low. But until that happens, until we get that confirmation, I would say that there is a little bit of risk lower, probably somewhere down around the 618 fib here. Again, $62,500. Anywhere below there, things start to look a lot different, by the way. Just saying. But right now, I still am of the opinion that Bitcoin's searching for a major low, and it's not necessarily like reversing and switching around the mark cycle and all this other sort of stuff. Of course, I'm open to these things, but I still think it's a low probability, especially as long as Bitcoin is very specifically above $60,000. Just don't think that that's like a legitimate topic of conversation yet. Doesn't mean that it can't happen, just not yet. Anyways, moving on from there, and I'm still referencing my notes over here. Okay, we got that. Also of note is that Bitcoin's starting to show more signals that it is putting in a low here, as we are starting to see that there is some hidden bullish divergence building on the daily RSI between the lows that we're currently experiencing, right now, and versus the lows that we saw in early May. You can see right here that the daily RSI is already lower, is actually already lower than the May lows, despite price action being, I wouldn't say significantly higher, but it is higher. So that would be indicative of divergence. Need to, however, again, confirm a local low here, which we just spoke about the criteria for that, the confirmation, if it was going to happen on Monday. But that would just be another sort of thing adding on to the overall case that, hey, it's starting to look like it actually is digging in, especially as sentiment is getting extremely negative here. I haven't really referenced the comments too much just yet. I see Financial Freedom. He says top of the morning. Good morning to you as well, sir. But definitely on Twitter, which I've been addicted to recently, which is which is like a terrible guilty pleasure. It really does seem like the sky is falling, and year over year, Bitcoin's up like more than 2x of where it was a year ago. Just for perspective and reference, it's been operating and oscillating within this range basically since the March highs. I mean, nothing significant has really happened just yet. Basically, as long as Bitcoin's below between 60 and 70,000 bucks, as far as I'm concerned, nothing is really different here. Anyways, moving on from there and getting into everyone's just most hated setup. It's hilarious how much this really seems to piss people off. And believe me, I speak as someone who hopefully is, numbers and statistics oriented. And I think it's silly. But even then, at the end of the day, the saying is, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And right here, I'm going to show you something just absolutely fucking crazy. But make the decision make your own judgment. And that is the moons, the fucking moons, the moon phases. And we've seen yet again that one of these moon setups actually has worked out. In this case, it was the downside moon setup coming in from early June to just closing actually last Friday. And that one, pretty sizable actually, as Bitcoin did trade almost 12% to the downside from that. But now on the other side, there is a full moon, if you want to call it that. And I've actually gone ahead and back tested these statistics that would have been had if you just literally opened on that new full moon and closed on the new moon. I know it sounds crazy. But I'll show you the results. And here's the results. The results are this. If you literally just did that, just as dumb as it gets, you would be profitable over 61% of the time. You would have a profit factor of almost 3.5. And if you're using my numbers over here to simulate these trades, which actually do have a bot trading this strategy right now, just because I think it's hilarious, well, you'd have these results as well. So pretty damn good. Now, here's the thing. We can go into the performance summary here and get even more granular data on this particular setup. And this is going to play hand in hand with the former analysis that we've been having here, that Bitcoin's likely to put in a low probably this week. And where is it likely to go from there? Well, for that particular question, we can reference the average winning trade. Again, a little over 61% probability for this to be happening, is about 14.5%. versus the average losing trade, which is just over 6.5%. So that is just going to be a winning setup no matter which way you spin it, just because, well, your average losing trade is significantly less, returns significantly less on average than your average winning trade. So on top of that, we can also look at the average amount of bars in trades, which obviously is, I mean, because it is just a moon setup, it is literally just 15 days every time. So we can come up with areas of interest, both to the upside and the downside, the probabilities for that, and the timing of that, most importantly, as well. So going from here, as we did just get the full moons firing off again on Friday, if Bitcoin were to play 14.5%, the average return to the upside, which there is about a 61% probability of that happening, that would put Bitcoin basically on a retest of prior all-time highs by when exactly would that be? 15 days out from Friday is when? Basically 1 week from today. 1 week from today, the 7th of July. Holy shit, it's almost July. That is crazy. Anyways, of course, just because there's a 61% probability of that upside movement in alignment with all the other things that we that we looked at as well, different things completely, also kind of suggesting, probably does happen. Of course, there is, almost a 40% probability of a downside move here, which 6.5% to the losing side, to the downside here, would put Bitcoin basically just above 60,000 bucks. So what can we deduce from this? We can deduce from this that by basically next Sunday, we're probably going to see either Bitcoin trading closer to 70,000 bucks, or we're going to see Bitcoin down around 60,000 bucks. Again, this is my main focus, and really what you can expect in the, what do you want to call it? The Krown School, the course, the program, whatever the hell, is just coming up with these statistics so you can actually have something to base decisions off of and work a system with. So in this case, again, there's no certainties with statistics, but it does give us probabilities. And that's what we're most interested in specifically as traders. Now, I am more biased towards this one going to the upside, again, because of all the things that we spoke about earlier. The question is, Where does next low come in around? Have we already seen it, or does it dip a little bit lower in the interim? Now, I'll leave you with one last thing here, maybe one last thing, and then we'll get into some comments here because that was actually really, really fun last time. And there was some great community participation and some really good conversations, but I'll leave you with this. So one last thing. This is the hash ribbons indicator right here. The hash ribbons indicator is an indicator that basically is a fundamentally based indicator that tells you about miner profitability. And it has had a really, really good track record in the past in calling major lows for Bitcoin. Now, the two specific criteria that I want to call out right here are within this indicator are this. The capitulation signal, which you see right here, my cursor is currently on it, and then that blue buy signal right here. We've seen this happen, I think like 18 or 19 times in Bitcoin's history. You can scroll out and actually don't have them all. Yeah, I actually don't have them all done up here, which I should have had done. This must be the wrong chart. Anyways, it's happened many times in Bitcoin's history, and it is essentially accurately called that whatever the major low was before that blue buy signal was the low before Bitcoin never closed below it ever again on a daily closing basis, which is very, very important. Now, there has been a few times where it violated that and Bitcoin went to go on to dump like, it went to go on to like dump 50% plus moves or more. So, it's not a certainty here, but again, I've derived some statistics from this and found that once you get that capitulation signal, which we did see in mid-May, it takes an average of 45 days to print that blue buy signal, which is the one that we're really, really interested in. And 45 days from that May signal that we got would put us at Thursday of this coming week. So likely somewhere around Thursday, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, in terms of timing, we will see that fire off. And assuming that it does, it's going to imply that whatever the low was before that, in this case, it would be, your 60,000 low over here, Bitcoin's unlikely to trade below that. Or if it does, then you're probably getting ready for like a massive sell-off to the point of like, 50% move or more. But both equally valuable to know in and of themselves. And so we're waiting around for that to happen. On my channel, I'll be updating this, as soon as it happens, and we'll go from there. So I think that's it for my opening ceremonies that I wanted to get through on this particular video. I'll read through some of the comments here. We'll see what sort of conversation we get started. I'm going to take a sip of this caffeine that I had to wait so patiently for. It's really awful. and fair enough. Let me see what we got going on over here. All right, I see Glenn Goldberg, a lot of G's there. We are in trouble. Who's in trouble? What's in trouble? And what's going on right there? Krown is the most Greek energy I've seen. Also, he has Harry as a Greek. Greek energy, is that like a gay sex joke or something? Because I like that as well. It is June after all, right? Anyways, I'm reading through some more of these here. I just want to see if we got anything very specific. Splits 50/50 says, I buy in small amounts. All of my money must be invested. I'm forever buying. Once my money has grown to an amount that I agree, I sell big amounts on the way down when I'm done selling. Okay. A lot of words there. GM to bears only, says AZTV. 𝗚𝗏𝘆𝗀𝐿𝑆atoshis here, but she's a woman, so get the hell out. Disbelief Strive says, evidence possible, create program language. I don't understand. Is that like a chat? It looks like ChatGPT is trying to speak English. Is it fuck or die? I don't think it's die just yet. My criteria for die would be, die is a relative term, obviously, but my criteria for die would really be Bitcoin below your May lows. If you see something like that, okay, yes, Bitcoin's heading much further south. And you can probably pack your bags for a while. But again, I'm not really biased towards that happening, at least not yet. First things first, right? Chart OP, please. All right, we can look at some shitcoins. Sure, everyone loves their shitcoins. We did a lot of this last week. Some people hated it, some people loved it, some people didn't like what I had to say. But looked at optimism here. I mean, okay, at least it has weekly higher lows as time goes on, and I do think that this one, similar to Bitcoin, is going to be ready for a bounce very soon here. Whether it's already reached there, or maybe it reaches a little bit lower towards about $1.50. I don't necessarily have a strong opinion on, but I do believe that you are very, very close to a bounce here. But don't confuse bounce with a reversal. I'm very, very skeptical about a lot of these altcoins, but this one has made its higher lows over time, which is good. I give it a chance to bounce. Bounce can very easily come back up, above $2 to like 2.25, maybe even 2.5 if things get really, really crazy. But look for Bitcoin for direction. If Bitcoin bounces, okay, you'll see this thing bounce as well, and it'll probably bounce pretty hard. I mean, it does have one of the better charts, more long term. If Bitcoin falls through, you can expect more of the same for this thing, and probably most other else as well. Also, I want to hidden bullish divergence. Hidden bullish divergence on what? On this thing? No, you can't have hidden bullish divergence in a downtrend. You can only have regular bullish divergence in a downtrend, but you actually do have regular bullish divergence in a within a downtrend here on your daily stochastic oscillator. So again, I'm more biased towards this one bouncing either now or very early this week. Anywhere above 175 today, I'd be looking for this week to open up on a bounce and see what happens after that. Unfortunately, long term, it is kind of hard to love as long as below about $3, but it could bounce percentage wise quite a fair bit from here. Like I said, back above $2, which is 20 to 30% bounce, assuming that Bitcoin does the same thing. So yeah, fair enough, man. AITECH, please. Sounds super legit, actually. Let's see, what could this thing be? AITECH, I've never seen this before in my life. It trades on BitGet and PancakeSwap. Okay, so that's your first really good signs. Now, to be fair, it has been around for, okay, it's actually been around for longer than I would have expected. Since September of last year. It did rally with the rest of the market in late 2023 and early 2024, also a good sign. So this kind of strikes me as probably one of the new stronger altcoins for this cycle. I would be looking at this 11-cent region right here as providing the impetus for the next low to bounce from. Again, bounces here are not super impressive long term as long as it's below about 27 cents. But again, percentage wise, it can bounce quite a fair bit, very easily back up towards your deep teens, like 17, 18 cents, and that would be percentage wise from this current low. I mean, that's like a 30% move. So this one, kind of similar to the last couple ones that we looked at. I do think it's probably going to try for a bounce from here. We do see some bullish divergence on our on our 2-day stochastic. I'm curious what the weekly looks like as well. Yeah, all these things are getting pretty overdone to the downside. So it's probably going to get a relief rally, whether you're super bullish or super bearish. The question is, does that relief rally turn into an actual reversal, and this one continues, up and to the right? That's a question for maybe in like a month or two. But for now, very, very likely bounce and then come back to it around that time. What's your take on 𝗏? What's your take on 𝗏? Except for the obvious that it's literally a shitcoin, and you're playing, musical chairs with your money. My opinion is that it's been one of the strongest altcoins during this cycle. It has a lot of the thing. Here's the thing. It has a lot of the things, a lot of the prospects, a lot of the points. My brain's not working properly today. It has a lot of the characteristics of like a new shiny shitcoin that if you are going to play shitcoin relay, probably one of the better ones, right? It had a great percentage move to the upside. It hasn't been around since before basically 2024, and it's already had a pretty sizable retracement here. I mean, this is almost 70% move to the downside. You're hitting your first major fib here at the 382 level. It's probably going to try for a bounce. It's probably going to try for a bounce off this region. Now, just like the last one that we looked at, I'm very skeptical of this one long term. I think that you could bounce and even bounce significantly, like close to $2.5, maybe even $3 if things get really, really crazy, and still remain in an overall downtrend, because your last lower high is all the way back on around here, which is closer to 4. What is this, like 370? Yeah, 370. So it's got a lot of work to do. But again, percentage wise, it can bounce a lot from this region, 30, 40% even, and still remain in an overall downtrend. But I don't think it's going to break through this 165 region on the first test. It's very likely going to bounce here first. We're going to see, daily stochastic extreme conditions start to work off here as well. I'm a lot more biased towards this thing bouncing sooner than later, just like I am for Bitcoin, just like I am for the last couple of things that we looked at. But I do reserve my concerns about this one long term. Below 160 or 165 on any sort of a higher term time frame closing basis, you can expect a much more severe retracement here, probably closer to $1 overall, which I do think will happen, given enough time. But for now, short term, very likely bounce. Let me take another sippy sip of this. Everyone loves their shitcoins. Pendle. Yeah, so Pendle, I remember someone brought up last week, and I do remember from my own streams on my own channel, that's pretty impressive actually long term. And yeah, very impressive here. And in fact, last week it looks like we circled off this likely higher low. And this is what your strong coins are doing right now. Pendle being one of them. You're also seeing weekly. Yeah, this is a weekly time frame right here. Stochastic momentum flip back onto the upside. As long as it's above about 511, which is trading more than $1 above as of right now. I think that this is your next higher low, man, or woman. Who knows? It is 2024 after all. Daily time frame, probably extends this rally in the more short term to open up this week somewhere maybe closer to $6.50. But overall, this does look to me like your next higher low at basically $5, and probably does something like this, and then later on, maybe in like late June, it probably does attempt to break out to the upside. If Bitcoin bounces even a little bit, this thing will bounce a lot pound for pound. It is actually stronger than Bitcoin overall. And you don't really notice this like too often with with shitcoins, but this one has acted incredibly well for a very long time now. Again, rallying more pound for pound, while Bitcoin, which I kind of consider as like an index, was more or less straight up in 2023. This thing was, but even more so. So to me, that is relative strength, and it's showing it yet again over here. And really, we should be looking at some of the stronger altcoins to probably precede what Bitcoin's doing as well. We would expect them to kind of be operating hand in hand. And I believe that's what we're seeing right here. This one taking a leg up, before Bitcoin, obviously. And I think that that this one generally will continue. Obviously, long term, it's hard to get excited as long as this thing's below about 7.5, basically your prior all-time high. But it's acting well here. Again, if Bitcoin shows any semblance of a bounce, this thing will very likely try for prior all-time highs or maybe make new all-time highs. Definitely one of the better charts that we've seen today. We got some nice spamming action going on over here, so we should definitely ignore him. Let's see. Yeah, I appreciate that. Mr. VBNR says, show Sir E Krown some love by smashing the like button. Let's see how we're doing on likes right now. I'm curious. How are we doing? Hold on, I need to type in this. Where's my damn stream? Hold on. Forgot it's on my own channel, so it's a little bit more complicated to do in the background here. But let me just see. Let me just see how we're doing. It might be a great ratio, it might be a terrible ratio, but it's going to be a ratio no matter which way you look at it. And I'm bringing it up. I'm almost there. I'm about to see myself double in the background, which is terrible as well. We got 364 likes for 1,300 people watching. It's not doing well, but you know what? It's good enough. It's good enough. What else can you expect on a Sunday, man? Shitcoin Central. Yeah, man, doing a little bit of that as well. Check my super chat, please, says Kay. I don't have it on top here. You sent it to me. All right, let me just pull this up. Elsa actually is doing her job in the background, even though this is not her duties today. But she's actually saved her super chat, so I'm going to go reference it right now. You're looking at Superverse USDT bull market price target. Okay, so this is, we can definitely look at Super right here. I will, however, say before I get into this analysis, bull market price target, there's no way to do anything like this, man. There's no way to do anything like this. And this is a big fallacy, in my opinion, that people have with, referencing technical analysis. Technical analysis does not do that. It gives you price probabilities, of which, this thing's not even an uptrend right now. So talking about like bull market targets becomes very, very difficult, unless if I'm just spreading out hopium right here. But that's really not what I intend to do. I intend to do the best that I can, but at the same time, like I can't just fucking make something up, or at least it has to be based off some. So anyways, right here, as I kind of get to like a long-winded explanation, similar to a lot of the other things that we've seen today, it is getting ready for a bounce, whether it's already seen the low or maybe retest like low 60 cent again. I don't know. Might very well do that, but very, 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 very likely you do see a bounce basically somewhere off of last week's low. And that bounce, again, percentage-wise, can come up significantly. I mean, it could come up close to $1. The problem here is, as we see with most of these altcoins, is that would still be an overall downtrend. That's kind of the problem. As long as you're below this kind of slew of lows, slew of highs, about $1.10, $1.15, have to be defensive on something like this. I mean, it is quite literally a downtrend. So this one, not as strong as the other ones that we looked at today, very likely does bounce from here. Again, bounce can easily come back up to 80, 82 cents. in the short term, maybe even 95 to $1. But again, that's probably where I'd be on the hunt for a little bit of a lower high if this one ends up being super bearish. Looking at the weekly right here, let me just take everything off, get naked on these charts. Yeah, hard chart to love right now. Hard chart to love. I do think it's going to bounce. Pray to Bula Jesus that this thing trades back above your May highs on this next bounce sometime in July. If that doesn't happen, well, if that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and you can figure it out from there. It's not going to be good. As far as bull market price prediction, I mean, you can't even talk about a price prediction that's above the current high as long as this thing's in a downtrend. That's basically my main message right there. Personally speaking, I do think that this one will pull on through, just because I know Elliot. I know that he worked super hard on this, but at the same time, if I'm just going off TA, look, maybe reverse the damn trend first before we start talking about bull market targets. For right now, bounce and then perhaps die a little bit later. Anyways, APIN, get exposed, micro trading, terrible way to do things. Great way to blow your account or just bleed it out slowly. Micro trading, especially in crypto, Bitcoin, with a lot of these margin exchanges, is just so far against you for something that's really not even your fault, which is the fees. The fee structure makes very low term trading very difficult actually for Bitcoin. In fact, I find with my own bots and algorithms that any time frame below like a 15-minute time frame, it becomes very difficult to make money, because you might even be making $100 profit between entry and exit. Not saying that that's your total profit, but with fees, they're going to eat significantly into that. So that's one of the major issues there. And then that also assumes that you're even doing it well on the shorter term timeframes, which can be quite difficult, for a lot of these cryptos, especially the illiquid ones as well. That's just my opinion though. Anyways, Matthew Nugent says, Brett, pretty please. Yeah, let's look at Brett. This is something that I've seen many times on my own channel. Many people call this one out. I'm going to go to what's going to be the longest running exchange for this highly esteemed piece of technology here, maybe Gate.io. Again, another altcoin that, it has a lot of the intangibles of a good new shitcoin, right? It was born after, or not even after, it was born in March of 2024. So it's very new. It's been generally up since then. It made new highs in May and June when Bitcoin was not making new highs. So that's also another good sign. So it's relatively strong. And it looks to me like this correction is probably over. Another altcoin here that we've seen a few of them, not just putting in bounces, but likely putting in continuation higher lows. We're going to see daily stochastic momentum turn back onto the upside today on tonight's closure with anywhere above 1370, which right now it's more than a cent above on a 15-cent number. That's big. So I'd be looking at this, or basically this last week's low, as sort of that next trending higher low. And as long as you're above 11.5 cents, I would be bullish on this thing, and I'd be looking towards a retest of your prior highs and probably new all-time highs. We can do a little bit of an extension here. We can do a little bit of forecasting in the future. If this one does break the current highs, and when I say break the current highs, I mean close and hold above on a daily time frame, nothing less, you're probably going to see a try towards 25 cents to 30 cents. On that following move. But for right now, again, similar to some of the other strong ones that we've seen today, if Bitcoin bounces, this thing should bounce, and it should bounce more than Bitcoin percentage-wise. So another, better one to be watching. Long term, do I trust something like this? Hell no. It's a game of musical chairs at the end of the day. But but for this cycle, it does show strength, and that does need to be respected for sure. All right, I'm gonna finish off this caffeine over here. We'll get into some more comments. Donnie Mills has all of the, actually, okay, I'll get to this question first because it just popped up on the screen. Then we'll get to Donnie Mills with GPU. Okay, what is your favorite way to trade? All right, my favorite way to trade is actually, well, I was going to say it's very simple. It is simple in essence, but really it comes down to automation. In my opinion, in my experience, if you can't automate a strategy, it's not worth playing at all. And what does automation entail? It entails that your strategy is so specific in terms of your entry, exit, and risk management criteria that you can quite literally program it, because there is no ambiguity with it. And that's really the purpose of this, crypto school that we're doing, which I should actually show the landing page over here. Hey, it's broken. crypto Banter people need to fix this up, but fair enough. Anyways, let me go back into it right here. So here's one of the strategies that I run on my current bot. So I do run an algorithm. It's actually a pretty damn simple strategy. It's basically trading uptrend. It's trading with the trend on an uptrend on both this time frame, a 13-minute, and combined with a 78-minute time frame as well, because that's 4x the time frame of 13, and I want to see both of those in collusion with each other. It's a little bit of an insight into the program that we're going to be releasing this coming week. But basically, hasn't taken a trade in the last week. Let me pull back a little bit. Yeah, it only trade when the trend is on on the same side. So here's some examples of what it's done. It's just a scalping strategy, very low term time frame, and generally, it's been decent. I'll pull up the statistics for the last 6 years. I have to wait until it loads here. Let me actually extend that a little bit, that study a little bit more. But ultimately, my favorite way to trade is to program things into an algorithm that can be done automated. And the main thing with that is that all of the criteria, entry, exit, and risk management, it needs to be so well defined and so objectively defined that a bot can do it. So what would be an example of something that a bot can't do? Well, trading like not horizontal, although they can't really do that as well, but diagonal trend lines, like being like, hey, my trend line broke and I'm gonna long into this. Like, hell no. No, never, absolutely never. What I'm looking for is tangible signals here. Is my VMP indicator above a certain level while that trend is intact and the PMARP is at a certain level as well? If it is, that's an entry, and there's no more questions about it other than that. So that's my favorite way to trade is basically programming these things in. Let's see if it's done the study over here. It hasn't just yet, but at the end of the day, man, it really just comes down to finding a strategy, in my experience, that has some sort of long-term returns in your favor, and then just repeating that process for as long as you can, as long as it works. That's what I'm looking to do. Are we ever going to see so good green days? I mean, sure. Market's not it. I think the market's ready for a bounce. I mean, again, let's have some perspective here just for a second. Let's have some perspective here. Are we ever going to see a green day again? Bitcoin's been trading in just this damn range for like the last 3 months. Nothing significant has happened. The last time we saw significant green days, by your estimation, was probably in middle of May. Again, man, it's just, it can get a lot worse, okay? It can get a lot worse. Like, this is not bad at all compared to how bad things can get. This is just a regular consolidation after a very, very hot move, a very hot trending move that we saw go all the way from October to basically March. So that was 6 months of just straight up nearly every day in a pretty painless fashion. Now we're getting a 3-month-long consolidation, 3 to 4 months long. And it's probably getting pretty mature here as well. So, if it breaks down, I mean, you're going to see things get a lot worse, obviously. But for right now, I would not say that things are all that bad. GPU, please. All right, Donnie Mills, we'll get to that. GPU. Let's see what this one's looking like over here. This one's Node AI. Trades on Poloniex and Pancake Swap. So that's, again, a really good indication of the quality of this thing. Trades on an exchange that barely even exists, and another one that shouldn't exist. And what do you know? This is something that has been around since March, kind of similar to some of the other shit ones that we've seen today. It has not participated in upside rallies. It has participated in downside moves. So it is relatively weak. But just like most things in this market, if Bitcoin bounces, this thing will as well. I don't know if I would feel comfortable saying that this thing's going to buck the current trend. I mean, for reference here, this again is a chart done on log scale. So even to just reverse the trend, you need a more than 2x move to the upside. You need a 135% move to the upside from this base. I do think you're going to bounce from here, probably alongside Bitcoin this week. And it could bounce significantly, like 50 to 70%. But long-term, not a fan of this. The trend is your friend. And in this case, the trend is to the downside. And I don't really have any major reason to believe that this one's going to be reversing here, just getting ready for a nice bounce. Could very easily look like something like this and then come back down and continue on with that overall trend. On any sort of perceived weakness from Bitcoin, this thing will get destroyed. On any sort of perceived strength from Bitcoin, this thing will bounce, but like I said, it's got a lot of work to do here. More than a 2x move just to reverse the trend. Not a good sign. All right, let's see. We have some more shitcoin shills going on in the chats as well. This is really good. It's really what you want to see. Let's see. All right. This is one that I recognize. Symbol QNT from Matthew. Let's check this one out. This is Quant. I remember this one was from a prior market cycle. And let's see how it's done. I'm guessing not that well. And what do you know? It's done absolutely terribly. Yeah, so this is a great example of something that you don't want anything to do with. You want to avoid shit like this, like the plague. And you shouldn't probably trade it with a 10-foot pull as well. Again, if Bitcoin bounces, will this thing bounce as well? Sure. But long term, terrible, 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 and terrible like 10 more times. Okay, there's not enough terribles to put together that equate to how shitty this thing is. Why do I say that? Because this thing has been around since 2021, which means that it's had a chance to go through a full market cycle. And while everything else in their mother, Bitcoin being the index, was rallying to new highs and beyond, this thing got nowhere near its prior all-time high. Again, this is deceptive here because we're not on regular scale. I'll put it on regular scale, and you can see that it is trading 450% away from its current all-time high. Again, it can bounce here. It can easily bounce here if Bitcoin bounces, something like this. But the long-term trend will remain your friend. This thing is, it'll never get anywhere near its prior all-time high ever again, ever again. It might bounce up, like I said, significantly, maybe even close to $100 or even above a little over $100. But long term, expect the downtrend to remain. This is garbage as far as charts go. And again, I'm not talking shit to you as a person. You're probably a great person. You're probably a phenomenal person. But as far as charts go, it's terrible. It's fucking terrible, man. Anyways, 𝗏𝗡𝗆 is looking at ICP. This is another 2021 shitcoin, I believe. Let's see how this one's done. If it has, if it's showing any sort of strength. And holy shit, it's even worse, man. Even worse. Holy fucking moly, man. Wow. Okay, so this one's this one's a front runner for worst chart of the day. In fact, yeah, terrible. Just god awful. This is what you can expect on most 2021 shitcoins. Just down and down and down, and then a pump that comes out of nowhere, and you know that it's going to the moon, and then back down to the lows. Back down to the lows where this piece of shit belongs. I don't know what this thing is. I don't know what this thing does. Maybe it's the next advancement in technology. It could very well be. But I do know what it does like to do, which is go down. And not on you, sir, but on your account. Again, if Bitcoin bounces, it might get a little bit of a bounce here. Maybe even if the stars align and Bula Jesus blesses you with his most powerful green dildos, maybe you retest $10 again. But I suspect that this is your next macro lower high here at $20, and you will continue to see an overall downtrend. You know, bounces along the way and just continue down like that. Absolute garbage. Terrible, terrible, terrible as far as charts go. Your analysis is good, but don't try to be funny, please. Okay, Bergman. What's funny is these charts, and it's not funny at all. The funny thing about these charts is that they're really terrible, actually, like really terrible. Do you think it's funny to just be losing money, sir? Do you think that's funny? Huh? Ha ha. Yeah. Praying coin. We need some praying coin. All right, let's see. Is this a real thing? We need Jesus on the blockchain. Damn it, he's not here. So it looks like we're fucked. Sol, please. Sure, we can look at some Solana. I haven't looked at Solana in a while. I'm curious to see what it's doing. Again, it was one of the more front runners of this cycle, you know, being a first mover. As far as charts go, I would say it's pretty much on par with Bitcoin. Obviously, they get a little bit overdone to the downside in 2022, but fair enough. Anyways, this one right here, similar to Bitcoin, very likely looking for a bounce, like here or maybe slightly lower, anywhere between basically like 125 to 120. And you've already kind of hit into that zone there, right? I suspect that if you see Bitcoin start its bounce on Monday from the criteria that we spoke about earlier on in this video, you're going to see this thing bounce as well. So it's kind of the same thing as Bitcoin to me. It's like, do we have the low here? Does it come a little bit lower before a bounce? I don't know. I'm a little bit more biased towards a low right here. Bounces can very easily get back up towards 150, 160 in the short term. Let's see where our major fibs are as of right now. Yeah, 155 to 162 is kind of where I'd be looking towards if it does bounce from here. Still, that'd be a lower high overall, but I would give this one at least the benefit of the doubt, just because it has been a first mover in this cycle, which is a good sign overall. So similar to a lot of a lot of the other stronger ones today, I'm looking for a bounce somewhere around here, maybe slightly lower, and then just come back to it probably in like a few weeks and see where things are at. See what the higher term timeframes look like the monthly here. Monthly, not really getting much off of this. Weekly, same shit. Daily, same shit. Yeah. Just looking for a bounce here and then come back to it after that. Long term, obviously, or I should say the most obvious thing long term is that very, very bullish back above your May highs, which is what is this, like 185, 190 region. But until then, it can take a long time to kind of fill this area out here. Again, this thing, just like Bitcoin, went straight to the moon and beyond basically since September of last year till March of this year. So expecting a few months long sideways consolidation is kind of normal and natural. I'd really only be concerned about this thing if you do start to see it back down below the May lows, basically Bitcoin below about $60,000 again as well. That'd be very, very concerning for this thing. But for now, give it a chance to bounce, come back to it in a few weeks and see where it's at. All right. Isn't this the same as almost every chart from 2021? Wow. That is a very profound analysis, Legend. I think you're onto something, actually. I think you're onto something. Yes, you are 100% right. That's crazy, man. Are you trying to tell me that most things from 2021 are absolute garbage and will never go to the moon again? Just look at 2018. Surely that can't be true, right? ENS should do good. Let's check it out. All right. This is some sort of Ethereum name service. Great name. It's on Coinbase, so at least that can't be too bad. Let's see what it looks like long term. All right. So we do have another 2021 shitcoin that basically went to the dumper and beyond for almost all of its life. Now, contrary to some of the other shittier shitcoins that we've looked at today, it's actually not as bad. It's not as bad as some of those, for sure. Why do I say that? Because it does have a weekly higher low in here and a higher high as well. So right now the trend actually is to the upside on a higher term time frame, and it's going to have a chance to prove itself. Where would it prove itself? Weekly closure above basically $30 or 29.25. See, something like that on a closing basis, not just trade base, but closing basis. You can expect this thing to put in a pretty significant move. Again, percentage wise, probably closer to $45 to $50. Still, I would reserve my my concerns or skepticism of this thing retesting per all-time highs like ever in its lifetime. But for now, it actually does have a chance to put in a pretty significant trending move here. Again, here's the real chart on regular scale, not log scale. You can really get a more accurate view of how much work it has to do longer term. But for right now, actually probably does trade to the upside from here. Again, Bitcoin shows any sort of strength. This thing actually should break out. Weekly is about to print a drive of hidden bullish divergence, assuming that it closes tonight here or higher. It's only got 15 hours left to go and about 26 minutes. So I actually would be kind of biased towards that, but look to Bitcoin for direction. Let's see. All right. Hey, Krown, what's your favorite shitcoin? That's a good question, man. I'll tell you what my favorite shitcoin is. I'll also tell you that I don't own any of it, or at least anymore. And it's this thing right here. It's this 𝗏𝗏𝗏 shitcoin. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you are on Twitter, all you need to do is type in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 on Twitter, and it's just the most outrageously creative and hilarious memes I've ever seen. It's literally worthless, at least I would assume. But I just like it because it's funny and it has good music as well. It has nothing to do with the underlying technology because there probably is none. And again, anytime you're playing shitcoin roulette, you're playing a game of musical chairs here. All right, let's see what else we got. Soul Chat. Okay, Soul Chat sounds cool, man. Sounds like something I want to look at, I guess. I don't know. Let's go to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Okay, not 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, maybe. Not 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, for the love of God. Soul Chat on CoinEx. I guess that's the new shitcoin destination. Terrible. Has been around since March of this year. Only goes down. It's only down 93% from the all-time highs. That's bullish as fuck. No, terrible, man. Again, any sort of bounce. This is what you can expect on most of the 2021 shitcoins that we've seen today. Is any sort of bounce which might even be a big percentage-wise bounce. This one certainly was over here. This was a significant bounce, a 2x off the lows. It's just another lower high. It's just another lower high. You know, for reference, this thing could bounce here all the way up to $4. Not saying it's going to. I highly doubt it, but it'll still be in a long-term downtrend. I would not expect anything like this to. I would not expect anything like this to go up significantly. Very, very bad, man. Very, very bad. Let me go back to, where is my, oh, there is actually my strategy right there. But let's go back to this chart. This is the one that I'm most interested in for a lot of these shitcoins. And the reason why that is because a lot of them are just momentum plays. So momentum also just seem to get them actually pretty well. Let's see. MOG has the cleanest chart. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Okay. Sounds legit. Symbol MOG. Okay. MOG coin on the blockchain. Actually, one of the better charts we've seen today, for sure, 100%. It's been around for about a year now. Contrast this chart with a lot of the other ones that we've seen today that just go down and create lower highs and lower lows. This one actually creates higher highs and higher lows so far. I mean, that's good. Do I think it's going to do that for forever? I don't know. But we looked at this one, I think actually last week, and it looks like it's kind of playing still within this overall zone. As long as it continues to hold this zone, basically above your June lows, I would be looking at that as actually bullish long term. I'm not saying it's going to break out right here. I do think that it will probably continue to play within this zone for a little while longer. Like, might end up looking something like this. But long term, this one, just like the other strong ones, will actually very likely retest prior all-time highs and make new all-time highs on any sort of Bitcoin bounce and perceived strength. So give it some time here. But yeah, a lot better than most other things that we've seen today. So another good example of relative strength, and should actually, I might even be eating my words here. It might actually try to break out from its current stature. I mean, the weekly is nearly a bullish engulfing, very, very close. If it trades anywhere above last week's high, I would say it's a damn good sign this thing's going to make new all-time highs probably in July. So yeah, definitely one of the better ones. Awesome, man. I said no to reimbursement right now. What? Okay. Would you like a refund? Hey, Krown, what's your favorite narrative AI gaming RWA? I'm not the best person to ask for that, to be honest with you, because I don't really spend my time, playing in the shitcoins and whatnot. So I don't really try to follow a lot of that. For me, it's all about the market cycle. If the market cycle is strong, you can generally expect basically all of the new shitcoins, whether it's gaming or what was the other ones, RWA or whatever. If they're newer, they're gonna have a better chance. Basically, that would be kind of my scope of looking at shitcoins. For me, if I'm talking about like other things that I'm interested in, I actually want to be in completely other markets, if anything, like the stock market. But I understand that's also not for everyone. And I do understand that they're, one of the very compelling things or the very attractive things about these shitcoins is that while it is literally a game of musical chairs, and I'm pretty sure like everyone who plays them knows that, is that, yeah, they can sometimes go up significant amounts. And it is not an impossibility to get wildly rich off of these things. Is it a high probability play? No, it's a very, very low probability play. But I do understand that, the attractive feature of that is that, hey, I can put in 100. Even just listen to the way that I put these words together. Like I put in $100. Like you put in $100 to the slot machine, and then you ring it up, and I lost again this time. But let's just try it one more time. That's kind of the same sort of way that I look at it. But yeah, I get it. Anyways, Render says clickety clack. I think that we've looked at this one. We definitely looked at this one last Sunday. I remember it was definitely on the better side. Let's check back in on it. Long term, it certainly is on the better side. Short term, similar to a few of the other ones, playing off the range lows here. I suspect that you are getting ready for a bounce. Maybe one more retest of this past week's low, but I would be, I'd be looking for a bounce basically in this zone right here. Let me just make it more of a zone. Let's draw it out. I guess I did my LARP lines over here, but something like this. Longer term, it certainly is one of the better charts, but I do think it's going to spend its time, consolidating here, and it's very, very close to a bounce short term. Daily stochastic momentum is going to be vertical as long as it's above about 705. I'd be looking for a bounce probably anywhere towards the 50% level of this range, which is 880 almost. I think quite likely in the coming weeks. But overall, continue the party sideways for a while and get resolution maybe end of summer. Anywhere above this upper boundary at about $11 or $11.50 is going to be extremely good, obviously. And just like some of the other strong ones that we've seen today, if Bitcoin shows any strength, you can expect this one to bounce a little bit harder. And if Bitcoin shows weakness, well, this one will come down as well. So below this past week's low, the 18th of June's low, which is about 665, no more excuses for this thing. Do have to be looking for a significant retracement, probably closer to $5 overall. But for right now, most things in this market, even the super shitty ones, are looking for bounces, just in varying degrees of strength. I do think that it happens early-ish this week, based off of those statistics that we looked at earlier. What are your top conviction plays? Man, I understand where you're going with this question. It's just you're asking the wrong person, because I really don't like play anything other than Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm just a shitcoin minimalist, and most things are garbage in this market. I think if you are going to play the shitcoin roulette, it can kind of make sense as like a as kind of like a lottery ticket, but for me, I'm not of that opinion. My highest conviction play is just the most boring thing. It's Bitcoin. And even that, like, I'm not super solid on, it could die tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a low probability, but that would be my highest conviction play. It's that long-term Bitcoin will continue up and to the right. Ethereum, probably the same thing as well, but Bitcoin it would be my highest conviction play. Really, I'm actually probably more focused on stock market, long-term investing at this point. Just because, look at what it's doing. Look at what it's doing. While we've been waiting around for the past couple months, traditional markets have made new all-time highs, upon new all-time highs, upon new all-time highs, and will continue to make new all-time highs probably throughout this year. Very impressive. Anyways, but you're not going to get those massive percentage moves here. So I get it. Like, people are not going to be that, I guess, motivated by that. I see a lot of people asking for 𝗬𝗓𝗄. So I understand that 𝗬𝗓𝗄 is the crypto banter shitcoin of choice. Okay, it is on TradingView. All right, so I don't know if there's gonna be much of a chart here. Let's see. Nah, don't do it to me, man. I can't comment on this. I'm gonna get banned. What do you think I'm gonna say on this, man? What do you think I'm gonna say? My super chat, please, says the video kingdom. Did you get the? Oh, okay, I do have it right here. Elsa has saved it. You are looking at ALEPH, ALEPH. Okay, let's check it out. ALEPH. Okay. Version. Okay, 1M. Okay, so it's this thing. It must be this thing, I guess. Okay, we have a chart here that has been around since 2022. It has retested all-time highs and actually kind of made slightly new all-time highs on a closing basis. I would consider this a better sign long-term. It certainly is kind of a weird chart here. It doesn't really seem to trade all that much, but it can kind of be a warning signal in and of itself. But for right here, I think that you kind of have to make a little bit of excuse for some of these shitcoins and just say, hey, it's an uptrend still, and as long as it's an uptrend, I'm not going to hate it. Can it come down a little bit a little bit lower and still remain in this uptrend? Yeah, it could come down to like 22 to 20-ish cents. I'd still be looking at that as as a higher low here. But well, actually, I do think it's going to bounce from here, to be honest with you. Let's see what levels it's hit on this downside move. Let's actually make this a bullish retracement. Just one moment here. All right, something like this. Yeah, kind of the same area as Bitcoin, around the 50% level right here. I give it a chance to bounce. It does have that same sort of bullish divergence on daily stochastic oscillator. I'd give it a chance to bounce here and retest your 14th of June high at like 28, 29 cents. I figured this one consolidates for a while longer. Longer term, obviously, can't really get too excited about it as long as it's below about 44 cents, basically your all-time highs. That's not very helpful, I understand, as an analysis. But I'd give it the benefit of the doubt just because it does remain an overall uptrend. And I don't really have any reason to be bearish on this thing as long as it's above about 19 cents. Below 19 cents, yeah, send it to hell. But for now, treat higher lows as higher lows as long as it is higher lows. So yeah, fair enough. Give it a chance to bounce here. Maybe one more retest in low 20s. All right, cool. All of the performers do that. Brett, Andy, they all bottomed before performing. All right. Well, more gummies for you, sir. Anyways, Gummy gonna send in a couple weeks. Maybe. I mean, look, I can be completely wrong about these things. The thing is that when you do have a chart that is this new, like Gummy, for example, is that, or let me actually, okay, this is massively even worse than what we looked at before. Is that you can get weird shit that happens here. It has only been around. It's only been in existence for like 2 months. I mean, there's not really much of an analysis to be done on something like this, but I'm always gonna have major reservations about a chart that does anything like this. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Play Rand's gummy burn for us. It's hilarious, please. I don't even know what that means. This is all like gobbledygook to me. I don't know, man. Dr. J. Hey, what's up, man? I recognize that name. When Krown versus BitBoy boxing. I actually did just sign up for the Singapore boxing event. They've asked BitBoy a few times to fight me. I think that he's probably in like a different weight division, and it doesn't really sound like he's too interested as well. So we'll see. Hopefully he says yes, but who knows? I think he just had a fight as well, so he's probably going to be recovering from that, I would imagine. Anyways, NVIDIA versus AMD. All right, this is actually this is a pretty interesting question. Okay, I'm guessing you want to look at NVIDIA and then AMD, or if you want to look at them versus each other, we can do that as well. I mean, that is actually pretty simple to do on TradingView. Okay, that's actually not as simple as what I thought it was going to be. So we're just going to go with NVIDIA first. All right, so NVIDIA did have like a 10-to-1 stock split, I do believe. It does look to me like this has a lot of markings of a macro high here. I will say we're going to see weekly stochastic momentum turn down on this Monday's open, assuming it opens below like 128, which it did close last week below 126.5 or at 126.5. You do have a shooting star dildo right here as well, and you are seeing extreme reads on volatility. So I think you're at least in for a retracement here. Probably retest this gap somewhere around like $1.06 or so, $1.07, something like that, and then be very mindful of the bounce from that area. But next move, very likely down. Then we get to play the game of, okay, do we get a higher low or not? Or not? So yeah. All right. Kendu chart. All right, we can look at Kendu. Sounds very Asian or something, I guess. Oops, that's Kenfu, so it's not it. Kendu Inu. All right, sounds super cool. On Poloniex, another great sign as well. It's been around for literally a week. I have no comment on anything that's been around for a week. Realistically, technical analysis or any sort of analysis is going to be reliant or just better, more robust, given more data. And yeah, data for not even 10 days. It's not going to be very, very helpful. So I'm sure it's bullish as hell, man. So High or Jasmy? All right, let's look at High because I like the name a lot more. Jasmy sounds like some bullshit. High Street. Okay, I like the sounds of that. All right. Very intense sell-off here. I think that we looked at this either last week or on my stream this past week. Look, it's really hard to like it when it's only down 80%. Not a good sign long term. I suspect that this is your next macro lower high. Again, extreme volatility alongside momentum to the downside, alongside what seems to be the next like major high. I'd be a lot more biased towards this one continuing on with the downtrend. I don't know what the hell this thing is. I don't know what the hell this thing does, but if you see this one closing below 240 at the end of this month, which is in just a week from today, actually. Yeah, it's literally 1 week from today. If you see anywhere below 240 by next Sunday, expect more downside to emerge. And I'd even go as far to say that if you do see that happen, you can probably count on June highs being the highs for a very, very long time, maybe even for forever. You really want to check on Ondo. Actually, not really, but we can look at it. Sure, I guess. I mean, it's really all the same to me. I mean, most of these things are just absolute garbage. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, certainly a cut above a lot of the things that we've seen today. Let's get rid of this this stuff right here. Okay, so let's. All right, it's only been around since basically mid-January, so not that much history, but it has acted well. It has made new highs alongside the rest of the market, and percentage-wise greater as well. So that is relative strength. That is good. Let's see, longer term. I guess the real question is this past week of June, is that the low at $1? Some of these shitcoins are just really, they just make it so difficult, man. Here's what I would say. here's what I'd say about this thing. As long as this thing is above 𝗁𝗏11 here, momentum will remain to the upside, and it is above 𝗁𝗏11 right now. I'd give it a chance to rally from here, actually. And I would say that this past week was the low. Below 111 on a daily closing basis, that all gets invalidated, and you can expect this thing to make new lows below this past week's low, probably closer to like 90 cents, maybe even as far as like 75 cents. But for right now, give it a chance. Again, any sort of Bitcoin bounce this week, this thing should operate decently well. That's what I'd be looking for. And this past week's low would be the low, very, very likely, if that happens. All right. You can choose the next one. What do you want?
Banana gun.
Banana gun. Hey, what the fuck is going on here? My computer's doing all sorts of weird shit in the background. Don't do that. What the fuck is going on? Hold on. All right, there we go. I don't know what happened there. Maybe someone's like remote viewing into my shit. Banana gun. Okay. All right. So that's banana gun versus the dollar on 𝗏𝗏𝗃 exchange. Great. Actually, pretty good. Actually, pretty. I'm getting on the banana gun train. This is my favorite one. Again, I always have to say, whenever it comes to these shitcoins that even do have a good chart, like it probably will do even better later on in this cycle. But when it tops, it's gonna happen really, really fast. But I don't think it's topped just yet. Weekly momentum, fresh cross back onto the upside on a higher low. While most things in this market have been holding on to, or making new lows, this is a sign of strength. This thing might even try to make new all-time-highs this week or next week. Not bad. Only bearish if it comes below Tuesday's low, which is like $40 or so. Yeah, about $40. Until then, up and to the right, man. And we can do a little bit of a projection on this thing as well, just to see. Next area of interest, the upside is going to be about $62. Above there, you got 72, and then above there, well, things can get pretty crazy. But one thing before the next. Again, an example of probably one of the better charts. If you put a gun to my head and say, Krown, play the shitcoin relay, I'd be looking for shit like this, just because it's new, doesn't have the overhead hang. It's very, very new. It's acted well during that time, and it's showing relative strength right now as well. If Bitcoin bounces here, this thing will make new all-time highs in the next couple weeks. All right, what else do we got? FTM, please, Krown. All right, I can't promise I have anything good to say about this, just out of memory, because I know that it's a 2021 shitcoin, and Sir? I think the LARP lines are still correct here largely. Probably going to bounce off this 618 retracement. Probably can bounce a lot, 70 cents, maybe even 80 cents. But come on, man. That's bad. That's real bad. We don't like that. We like it when it generally goes up and to the right, not when it generally goes down. No problem, man. Okay, I see that we have the Hexkin shill squad in here as well, so that's good. Sure. I'm actually just curious enough to look at it. All right, let's see if TradingView has it. All right, PLS, or let me just type in Pulse chain. I really am curious. Okay, I can't spell Pulse, so maybe I should be a Hexkin. Pulse. Okay, yeah, that looks right. Pulse Hex. I think I've been drinking too much retardium this morning. Let's see. None of these look okay. This is Pulse chain versus the dollars. This one might be it. I think Richard Hart's gonna have to go from buying Gucci to buying Guess or something. it's not looking too hot here. I don't know. Again, not a lot of history to be going off of. I do happen to know that it should have more history than this, but this is the only recorded history that I do see on TradingView, at least. If I'm just looking at this, I'm looking for the trend to continue, in this case to the downside. You'll hate me if Bitcoin bounces, because this thing will bounce as well, but it's not enough history here to really be looking at. I need to see like the full history, which I know is a lot more than this, but I don't know where to find it, unfortunately. So without that, I don't really have any. I don't really have any real analysis that I'd stand by. Desync, please. All right, desyncs for Mags Magoo. And I am Tits McGee. I almost typed in Mags. Desync. Okay. You're Fatty McGee. Let's see, Destra Network. The people that I was behind at fucking coffee house today, those were Fatty McGee's. I mean, for real. Like these cows took like 10 minutes to order their coffees and fucking and pastries for dessert. It's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Like, what are you doing? Damn soy boys. They were definite soy enjoyers. I can tell you that for sure. No doubt about it. Look, for the history that we have, it's terrible, but it's not a lot of history. And it's hard to really like damn a shitcoin like this when you don't have like years of history. But if I'm just looking at very, very low term timeframes, I do think it's going to bounce from here. The question is, does this bounce take it above this past week's high, or even this is like Thursday's high? Yeah, Thursday's high at 23 cents or 24 cents. If it does, you can expect this bounce to extend significantly more, probably closer to like 26 to 28. But for right now, I just don't trust shit that is that is this new. I also can't speak as well. Have some very, very annoying stutter going on right now. If I had to call it, I do see more signals of a bounce coming here than not. It's just too new to really do any justice to. I guess maybe I can do something like this. It wouldn't be asking for too much to get this thing to bounce somewhere between like 25 to 27 cents, something like that. Still would be another lower high. So I don't have any long-term analysis on something like this. First, amusing TA. That's right. We come here for amusing T&A. Let's see. Meme show tonight. I don't know. I don't even work here. I just took over this channel. They let me on. Who the fuck knows? Will Smith, the like button. Whoa! Hey now. I'm all for making fun of. Well, I'm not going to complete that sentence. It's not my channel, but I'm also not trying to get them banned. Sampath wants to look at OP. I think we already looked at that thing a while ago, so you can probably just scroll back. AIOZ, please. Okay, I recognize this name from like a very long time ago. Let's see if it's still the same thing that I'm thinking it is. Okay, I've apparently charted it before, and holy fucking moly. Wow. So this thing has been around since 2022. It did make new highs above 2022. So better sign than contrast this with the shitcoins that didn't. It's definitely better than that. But look, it's like a lot of the other analysis. You're going to get a bounce here. Okay, I shouldn't say you're going to get a bounce because you never know with certainty, but very high probability of a bounce. Getting several signals over here, bullish divergence, plus daily stochastic turning up, plus in the critical zone, plus DMI support. And I'm guessing you're probably on like one of the major fibs as well. Yeah, it did have a very deep retracement, which is not a good sign long term, but it is very likely to bounce here, I do suspect. Where is that bounce likely to come towards? I mean, it could bounce significantly. It could bounce easily to like 65 to maybe even 70 cents. Problem is that's still another lower high, but I would be looking for a bounce here. I think it might end up looking like something like this long term, but I would be looking for a bounce here basically. I don't really have any reason to get like super bearish on this thing. I mean, it is bearish, but I don't have any reason to be bearish immediately on this thing as long as it's above your Tuesday high that this past, or sorry, not Tuesday high, but Tuesday low. Any sort of closure below there, and yeah, you can mark this one down, probably back down to like 30 cents or so. But for now, give it a chance to bounce. I'm going to assume this bounce will not pull off a nearly 2x or more than a 2x, and it will remain in an overall downtrend. But yeah, it can bounce significantly and still remain in that. Render, we looked at that one. Good long term, short term, I forget. Let's see. Krown says B2CC. What's up, man? Just no message. Just Krown. We are all rich, says Fresh 123. That's right. You are all rich. If you have access to internet connection, you're probably rich compared to at least someone out there. So that's a good sign, I guess. Or you can also just watch the financial abundance guy. He also will help with that as well. You need to take away that negativity, sir. Van Reed, brother. Okay, this one's a new one for me, I think. Van Rye. Okay, all right, fair enough. Let's see. Something popped up here, so let's see. Very similar to the last chart, actually. Again, was a very decent mover in this current cycle, and I do think that you're, very, very likely to bounce here. It's already beginning, basically. Can very easily bounce to 19, 20 cents. But long term, hard to get excited about it. as long as this one's below your, what is this, June highs at 25 cents. So, you know, it could very easily bounce significantly here. And then I think the hopium on this thing is that you hold a range for a little bit longer and put in a higher low there. But for right now, you know, I wouldn't have any sort of long-term call on this one. Just short-term, very likely to bounce, can very easily bounce somewhere around 20 cents. And personally speaking, I think that you're going to continue on with the sideways, and that would actually be good long-term. Any sort of trade back above your June highs, and you can expect this one to probably retest all-time highs, maybe make new highs from there. But first things first, want to see a bounce here and come back to it. I don't know, probably in like a month or two. I think that this thing takes a long time to play out. Still, this cycle is going to require some more patience, I suspect. Sir, 𝗞𝗥𝗢𝗪 the frog. All right, let's check out 𝗞𝗥𝗢𝗪 from Nomad Dad. All right, Dad, is that you? I never knew my dad. Anyways, I actually do know my dad, so it's not you. But anyways, okay. Hey, again, a very new chart here, but this one makes it easier than a lot of the other shitcoin charts we've seen that are newer, just because it continues on with this overall uptrend. We see the higher lows. That's good. This looks like the next higher low to me right here. You know, next move probably brings it back up towards whatever the hell this number is, like 7/10,000ths of a cent. I don't know. But overall, this one actually is acting pretty damn well. If we go down to a very low term time frame, I do believe that this current rally will actually extend from here, probably to this level. And the real question is it ready to break out or not? I think most things in this market are probably setting up for range plays. So I think you're going to probably get something like this, come back down, set in a higher low, spend a little bit of time in here throughout most of summer, and then try for an upside move. Actually, sorry, this is a 4-hour time frame. This could actually happen in like July maybe. But it all hinges upon holding this Friday low, this past Friday, that is. So for right now, up, and then kind of just put it on a watch list, I suspect. It's programmed, says Fresh123. Hopefully it's programmed. I mean, hopefully there's like something behind this thing, but seeing as his name is 𝗞𝗥𝗢𝗪, I don't know. A little bit skeptical there, but fair enough. 𝗞𝗥𝗢𝗪 is 𝗞𝗥𝗢's creator's first frog. Is this like some sort of drug talk or something? I don't know. With inflation, yes. Give me the inflation. 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏 on Solana. Okay, I feel like a 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏 actually right now. 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏, or is it 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏? That's extremely offensive, sir. What is it? Is it actually 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏 or 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏? I don't see any 𝗏𝗏𝗪 here. Maybe it's 𝗏𝗏𝗪. Maybe it's no. I don't see 𝗏𝗏𝗪. Maybe it's 𝗏𝗏𝗪. I don't think that's it either. I don't think it's on TradingView, man. It's too offensive. Mew, please. All right. This one again. Cat in a dog's world. Did you ever see that? You ever see that cartoon as a kid, Cat Dog, or are you too young or too old to have watched that? It was super weird, by the way. Actually, it is getting ready. I shouldn't say it is, but it is very likely getting ready for a try to the upside here. Again, we're going to have some bullish evidence on daily stochastic. We do see a higher low here as well, and actually two higher lows compared to your last major low, which was in May. I'd be looking for this one to retest Monday's high, this past Monday's high at like 0.5 of a cent. Is that right? Yeah, half of a cent, basically half of a cent. And this one might actually continue from there. This is actually not a bad setup. I think long term, maybe something like this. You know, it goes up, retest, boom, back down, reaccumulates, higher low, and then tries to get to the upside. I'd be very, very bearish. I'd be very bearish if you did come back down below these lows here, your 14th of June. But for right now, give it a chance to try some upside, see how far it gets, and come back to it after that. Y'all need some 𝗁𝗁𝗏. Yes, me too. Your chick is cracking me the fuck up, bro. Every time she laughs, she makes me crack up. Her laugh is infectious. Lol. she is pretty funny looking as well. Too bad I bought the top, says Mark 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. The best thing to do after you buy the top is to sell. Not the top, I guess. I don't know, man. It is so wholesome, lol. This is so wholesome, lol. Elsa also, her name is Elsa, by the way. She also says lol as well, and all sorts of other very, very offensive things. We all want Estonia babes. Actually, we're in Finland, and she's Finnish. And she has several single friends as well. If any one of you shitcoin enjoyers wants to shack up, TET please, says Matt Coyle. All right, let's check it out. TET. What the hell is it? Okay, all right, it is on TradingView. All right, okay, we're there. Wow. Well, that's good. That's really fucking good. Do you need me to tell you? Here's the problem with being 80% down. You only need 441% to get back to break even. It's probably going to bounce from here, as are most things. Even the most bearish bullshits that we've looked at today, even those are looking for at least like a small bounce. But long term, do I think that you've seen your all-time highs for a very, very long time, maybe even for forever? Yeah, fuck yeah. Jesus, man. Again, for reference, this thing could easily, I mean, this thing could bounce to like, I'm not saying it's going to, but it could bounce to like $22 or even $27 and still be long-term mega bearish. You know, something like this. Boom, boom, come back down. Not a good sign when you give up 80% of your gains. I'm actually up on TET. Nice. Oh, you must have bought like literally the low then. Well, in that case, I think you get a really good, you probably get a pretty good percentage-wise rally here to offload if you really wanted to. But this is not financial advice. I'm not financial advisor. Please chart Microsoft. I'm actually happy to do Microsoft just because I actually come from traditional markets. And this is one of the names that actually actively traded. When I traded this thing, okay, it's had like, oh no, it hasn't had a stock split. When I traded this thing, it was like 30 or 40 bucks, like way back on over here. Traded it for years. To see it at 450 is just insane to me. But you know, it's a good stock. It's a good name. Okay, so what I do notice here is that you actually are coming out of a long-term consolidation. I want to get rid of these ones because they're not relevant to what I'm talking about right now, although they are still relevant long-term. Okay, it looks like you're hitting the 1272, or you've already broke out of the 1272. I think that this thing does go for like 460-ish region. It probably pulls back from there a bit. I think best case scenario, it'll go to like 475 before sort of a long-term consolidation. But look, let the trend be your friend. You know, contrast this chart and this trend with a lot of the shitcoins we looked at today. I mean, this thing's been basically only up since 09. So that's what, 15 years? Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, I do think that this, to kind of put more conjecture here, this run continues very likely to maybe close to like 460-ish region at least, maybe even, what was it, like 475 or 480, I think I said. And then I'd be looking for another consolidation. Just very, very strong price action here. Very, very strong. Short term on the daily, it might even continue early this week. Very possible. Only bearish short term if it comes back down below Thursday's low. At that point, I'd be looking for a retracement, you know, closer to like 430 or something. Anyways, $Krown. Unfortunately, I've not been made into a shitcoin just yet. Thank God. Secret sauce says Fresh 122. I don't know. I don't even know what you're referring to actually. AMP on my knees. Okay, this is going to be good. I'm sure of it. Okay, AMP and get on your knees. All right. Well, you said it, not me. So we're going to go to Binance for this highly esteemed piece of technology here, and I'm on my knees praying to Bull Jesus, and all I get is I got fucked. Yeah. Well, the good news is that it's down 94%. So that means you can only go down another 6%, right? Right? Unfortunately, I don't think so. Again, this thing probably won't even ever trade again, you know, above these March highs. There might be bounces along the way. Again, if Bitcoin bounces, this thing will bounce probably as well, at least a little bit, but don't expect any sort of major reversals. Just garbage here. Absolute garbage. It's a nugget. All right, fair enough. It's a nugget. I'm in. Where is the Sunday meme coin show? I don't know. We've been looking at a lot of pieces of shit here tonight. So, and again, I'm just talking about shitcoin charts. I'm not talking about anyone specifically here. You are all great people. It's been really, really fun conversations. I actually really do enjoy doing these and being here. But these charts, they need some work, man. They need some work. Delesium, or do you mean delusium? Okay, I'm just going to type this one in and see what pops up. I haven't even checked my phone at all. Maybe the crypto bench people are telling me to get the fuck off here. But let's see. Actually looking for a bounce here. This is what I think a lot of these shitcoins are going to do. Is you're going to see a bounce kind of similar to this. I think this one could run even a little bit more, maybe closer to like 30 cents. I mean, long term, it has made new highs, so I guess give it a chance. I just wouldn't get super excited about this thing as long as it's below about 37.5 cents. But yeah, it can rally from here. Probably does rally a little bit from here, but just be mindful that this one isn't a downtrend. So any sort of lower high below 37 cents is, probably leads to at least another retest of the lows, maybe even new lows, but something like that. This, if I had to guess. If it's going to be bullish, you'll probably see a retest of like 37 cents, come back down, set in a higher low. Anywhere above like 25 cents would look really good for this one to break out. But I'm a little bit less biased towards that happening. But basically, you can look at this chart as kind of like a template, I guess, a template of what I think a lot of the shitcoins that we've looked at today are going to probably do. They're going to bounce off these lows. Could be a significant bounce. I mean, this one's bounced 71%. That's a lot. That's a shit ton. And it can bounce even more very easily. But I'm very skeptical of these, of a lot of these continuing on with their long-term uptrends. I mean, this is a parabolic blow off top right here. In fact, I'll just give you like a really quick way to kind of judge if your favorite, whatever is going through a major high, like a major high that is not to be retested for a long time, maybe in some cases ever, for a lot of them. When you see double extremes on volatility indicators like the BBWP here and stochastic momentum turning down at the same time, those are going to be major highs for a very, very long time. You see those two things happen within quick succession, of each other. Double extremes, boom and boom here on this rally. Here's your first one, here's your second one, and then stochastic momentum turns down. That's a very high quality signal for like a major high for a very, very long time, typically. Okay. Could we see AMD do the same as NVIDIA? I don't know. Let's look at AMD chart. We actually didn't look at this one earlier. Do you mean to the upside or the downside? Because I do think that NVIDIA's top for it's at least found like a weekly swing top for a little bit. AMD still looks okay here. I mean, still operating on higher lows. Probably does try an upside move back towards 170, 180ish region, somewhere in there. Weekly stochastic momentum turning up on a higher low. I'd give it a chance here. I don't know if it's gonna. Okay, I mean that is a pretty nasty top right there. It very likely should rally here. The question is this rallying into a bull trap or not? As long as it's below about 190, the possibility of a bull trap here is still very much alive. But give it a chance first. It should continue on with the bounce, at least short term, and then we come back to it after that. But yeah, short term rally, long term, be aware. Be aware. Let's see. Let me check my phone, just make sure that the crypto banter people aren't like yelling at me like, hey, get the fuck off, man. You're terrible. Oh yeah. They told me to wrap up like 30 minutes ago. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Please try Apple as well. Okay. Yeah. We can look at higher term timeframes for Apple. This is not something that I ever really traded myself. But okay. So a couple things that I noticed about this one, it's had a breakout here. So this current sell-off, we should give it a chance to put in a higher low first. Where can that higher low come in around? Well, we really don't want to see it anywhere below like $200 actually. Like we don't want to see it break back down below this prior high from July of last year. If that happens, fake out confirmed and get ready for this thing to trade sideways and down for a while. I don't think that's what's happening. I do think that this one pulls back a little bit. You see a daily higher low and it tries to get into the upside, but again, long term, these are some pretty crazy charts for sure. So yeah, I'm more biased towards this one, maybe pulling back a little bit more to open up this week and then finding a higher low. 30 more minutes is Jungians. I'm a Jungian as well, man. I think Carl Jung is probably one of the smartest guy of all time, but actually that's not even your name. Now I recognize it. It's Juglins. Okay, different thing, different thing altogether, Mr. Juglins. All right, Aerodome. We'll do a couple more and then we'll call it a day. My voice is starting to fail me now, so that's usually my my cue to wrap it up. 𝗂𝗏𝗪𝗏. Okay. I guess we'll go to this. 𝗂𝗏𝗪𝗏 Finance. This is the shitcoin from Wolf of Wall Street. Aerodyne Finance. It's the next big thing. That's right. The next big thing to crash down 75%. Holy moly. Yeah, I mean, look, like a lot of the other shitcoins we've seen today, it's very likely to bounce off here. Bullish divergence on daily stochastic momentum also turning to the upside in the critical zone. Very likely we're going to see a rally from here. In fact, it's probably already begun. Now, how high can that rally come up around? It can very easily come up to like 90 cents to a buck and still be in an overall long-term downtrend. That's the problem with a lot of the things that kind of blow off their top very early on. So again, for reference here, from the current low to even the price that I just mentioned, it's like a 50% move. To reverse the trend, you need almost a 2x move from this low. It's not impossible for an altcoin, but probably less probable here. What I suspect is that you're going to get at best is you're going to see a long-term range emerge, something like this. It's going to rally up here. And then for the BULA's sake, hopefully it sets in a higher low after that and then tries again towards the top side of this boundary. But long term, it's very difficult to imagine this thing like retesting per all-time highs. I mean, that is, 250% move from its current low. I mean, that's, again, it's not unheard of in cryptocurrency, but very questionable. This one to me looks like it's entering into a long-term downtrend. Can you look at AKT? Okay. AKT. I remember this one is a cash. I forget. It's been a while since I've looked at this thing. I forget what I thought about it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, better than most shitcoins long term. It did retest its 2021 high, so it's a better sign than most things. Again, similar to almost everything else we've seen today. It's aligning for a bounce here. Same bullish divergence, same stochastic momentum, like positioning basically on almost all of them. So very likely to rally from here. Can it rally up significantly towards like $3.50 to maybe even $4? Yeah, we could easily rally somewhere around there. Again, still would be a lower high though. That's kind of the problem with a lot of these things. So I think, at best hit that, come back down, set in a higher low, and then try again. But best case scenario for some of these is just trading sideways in this range for a very long time, probably throughout all of summer, and then maybe trying to move to the upside. The obvious place to get bearish on this thing is anywhere below this past week's low. I mean, that is quite clear. At that point, you can expect most of this rally to be undone, and you can expect price action back to $2, maybe even lower than that. But I'd give it the benefit of the doubt here, just because it has been a good actor since 2022, rallied with the rest of the market, and has performed pretty much on par with Bitcoin, I'd say, retesting its per all-time highs. All right, okay, we got some more shitcoins, shills here, spamming up the chats. It's probably a good. Yeah, probably a good area for me to sign off. Random Mara did an ADX last week. I think it probably had a stock split. Let's see. I will look at this. I'm just curious. Like, is that even true? It did an ADX this past week? No, it didn't. This is why you should not trust but verify. I think that this thing is put in the low here, but yeah. Anyways. I think a lot of people have had enough of this at this point. So I do want to say massive thank you for joining in yet again. I want to remind you that if you're interested in learning my sort of philosophy on price action, learning my sort of setups, and creating your own template setup for yourself, you can join in on the crypto school, which I don't have a working link right here, but it is in the description below. And there are still spots available. The signups are going on until I believe this Thursday or Friday, which means. All right, there's one more super chat. We'll get to this as well. DJ. And again, this is the first cohort. We don't know how it's going to go, so no promises that it's going to go, again in the future. So if you're interested in it, it is free. It does require an exchange account, but that's your exchange account. That's your money. That's all you. So this, I would say minimal investment here. So if you are interested in it, check it out. I'll get to these last two super chats here just because they popped up on my screen, and well, can't let these go to waste. Donald Trump Save America says, attention patriots, Donald J. Trump on Ethereum has already transferred more than $400,000 to Donald Trump. Best profit token. Okay. And then Kendu, we've already looked at Kendu for Nigel, but yeah, we've already looked at Kendu. So I think I remember it being like way too new anyway. So that's a good place for me to sign off. I want to thank everyone for joining on. It's been an absolute pleasure. As always, we'll be well, we'll be on a live stream, I suppose, for the next workshop on Thursday. So I'll see you there if you're in the crypto school. And with that said, thanks again for having me. Much love and take care.